Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, Josh, thanks very much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome inside the Fan Cave. Bob Pompeani here at 412-575-2600. Andrew Fillipponi is there, which is 93.7 The Fan, home of the PM team, every day 2 to 6. And Andrew, let's begin by talking about the Penguins, who won another game. I thought yesterday was maybe their most complete, best performance of the year, especially when you consider coming off a loss in New York and a shootout, a game I thought they should have won. And the fact that Vegas was in town sitting for them. And here they are, supposedly the tired team, or at least not with the legs going, and yet they, as the game went on, really dictated terms against Vegas.
Well, they've defied the odds really all year. The odds for them to make the playoffs were extremely low when the season started. They were not viewed as a real contender. And what they've been able to do in Dan Muse's first year, there's complete buy-in. There's really 4 functional lines that each bring a unique thing to the table, I think, and that even now extends to life without Sidney Crosby for the time being. We're getting contributions up and down your lineup. You're getting good goaltending.
Very interesting situation come up because the trade deadline is coming up on Friday at 3 p.m. The more this goes, the more I'm probably thinking they're not going to make a big move. They're going to do something to add on, but I don't think they want to mess with the chemistry. How would you play this if you are Kyle Dubas, and specifically to the goaltending, because they have guys in their system who are knocking on the door?
Well, I'm pretty much open to anything. God bless you, Bob.
Well, thank you, but that was a cough. I'm sorry, but I appreciate the sentiment.
Look, I think anything is on the table as far as if there's a big-time player out there with term on his contract with multiple years, you've got so much ammunition. You've got a lot of good young players now in your system. You have all those draft picks. If you think there's somebody who can help you now and help you later, and the price is not exorbitant, I think you explore that. I think they're in a very advantageous situation. What I would not be a fan of, though, is, Bob, if they pretty much do nothing, they do nothing, maybe they can justify it. They're ahead of schedule. They didn't anticipate competing this year. But this is where you are now. You're right now. You're in second place. If the tournament started today, you'd have home ice advantage in the first round. I don't think a team like that should be subtracting or standing pat. Try to make this team better without feeling like you're giving up a lot to just help this current team. Make the type of trades that help this team, not just this year, but beyond 2026.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And one of the questions tonight we have on our KDKA.com/connect poll of the night, brought to you by Penn West University, is about Anthony Mantha. Do you think he'll be a Penguin after 3 p.m. on Friday? See, these are guys, when they first acquired them, Andrew, I thought for sure 1 or 2 would be flipped at the deadline, depending on how the season went. But now here they are, both having career years, especially Brazeau. But Mantha's 22 goals. He's en route to probably close to 30 by the time this thing is over. He's a free agent at the end of the year. I am now in a position where I keep them both. They played well with Ben Kindle. I wouldn't move on from them unless they got some kind of offer that didn't, offer they couldn't refuse. How do you feel about those two specifically?
Well, Brazeau has another year left on his contract, and he's making really nothing. Mm-hmm. I mean, so that's a steal. I don't think there's any urgency to make a decision on him. Mantha's a little bit of a different story because of what you just said. He's up at the end of the year. Do you go to him and talk about a contract extension and try to find a number that makes sense for both parties? But my guess is because of the season he's having, he's going to want a lot more money than what the Penguins signed him to this past offseason. So, could you make another one of these trades where, just like with Kulak for Girard, you give up a guy and you take a younger player back who's not been as productive this year, but you think can help your team for multiple years? See, that's the kind of trade I wouldn't be opposed to. But if they flip Mantha, and look, if you get offered a first-round pick for him, I guess you'd have to do it. But if it's a prospect and like a second-round pick, Bob, I think they've already got enough of those. I don't want to make that. I don't want to give him up in a trade like that. It'd have to be for like a first-round pick, or it'd have to be for a young player that you can plug into your lineup right now and help you win this year.
To your earlier point, you're in a position now where you can do some damage potentially in a 7-game series. I don't see any team that they wouldn't be able to deal with in the East, especially if they have home ice in a first-round series against the Islanders, for example. They have 2 games in hand on them. They have 3 games in hand.
But that Schaefer's
on the Capitals.
incredible. That kid is unbelievable for an 18-year-old defenseman, Bob. He is a tremendous player. Yes.
I mean,
he
already has 20
outstanding.
goals. He should be the Rookie of the Year, bar none. You know, based on 18, playing a blue line position like that and producing that sort of offense, it's unbelievable. All right, we're due for a break. We'll take it right now. Pony and I return. We'll take your phone calls. 412-575-2600. That's the number to call. Let us know what you think. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night. Comes from RMU Basketball. The Player of the Year in the Horizon League is Deshaun Good. Outstanding year, and Andy Toole's about to have his team potentially get back to an NCAA tournament despite re-racking the entire team after he got raided by NIL players who went and took the money, and I don't blame him, but he had to start all over. And what a season it's been. They're the number 2 seed. They start this week. Andrew, we're heading into March Madness. I'm looking forward to Duquesne and see what they can do at home in this Atlantic 10 tournament, which begins next week. And then Pitt, I don't know if they're going to get in or not, but it's sort of fait accompli for them. I think March is going to be wild. It really is. I think there are about 10 teams you can make a case for. My team right now, looking at this whole tournament, is going to be the Florida Gators. I like the way they play. I think they bring back a lot from last year. I think they're going to be tough to beat.
You know, Robert Morris, this is kind of a late blooming team this year, too. You know, last year's team, I think, was really the best team in that league the entire season. They finished in first. They also had the Player of the Year last year, but he left for greener pastures. And they were really, over the duration of, say, the last 20 games of a 30-game season, they looked like they were going to win that league, and then you never know with the conference tournament, but be the team that got in. This team really came on around Valentine's Day, and they haven't lost. They were excellent in February. They ended up finishing in second place. They have the Player of the Year. They have Andy Toole. Like, you know, there has not been as much momentum with this team, but they're getting hot at the right time is the bottom line. And in these one-bid leagues, that's what it's all about. I mean, It's not about your full resume because only one team's getting in. It's just a matter of over the next week and a half who the best team is right now. And there's no hotter team in that league than Robert Morris, and they've got a coach that's obviously gone through the crucible of this one-bid situation before where you can be great. Look at Miami, Ohio right now. There's all kinds of discussion. They're undefeated, and Bruce Pearl's getting on TV and saying you got to leave them out. If they
leave them out if they lose their conference tournament.
Right. And I got to be honest with you. Here's what I will say, because he's getting killed for that take. But I got to be honest with you. Well, I know. If Pitt played that schedule, what do you think their record would be? I think they'd have 27 or 28 wins. I really do.
Yep.
It's been they played a horrible schedule, Bob. They didn't play anybody.
No, it's number 292 in the country. I mean, it's one of the worst. So I think you have to take that into consideration. That's going to be an interesting thing. All they have to do is win the tournament. They'll get in. But, what are they going to be seeded, even if they do win that conference? They're going to play the play-in tournament, do you think?
No, well, if they win that tournament, if they win the MAC tournament, I think they'll be like a 12.
Okay.
I think they'll be an 11 or 12 seed, and we'll see if they can be one of those 12 seeds that wins every year in the tournament. But if they lose, the best they'll do is get into that play-in in Dayton as an at-large, Bob. They'll have to beat a team to get in, just like Pitt was a couple of years ago.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. Jim in Center Township is our number one Cochran Go One Better caller of the night. Hello, Jim. What's going on?
Hey, Bob, Brian. I'd like to talk about Evgeny Malkin a little bit. I have a question for both of you, and it has 3 parts. First, will the Pens sign Malkin? Second, should they sign Malkin? Third, with the recent play of Chinnikov and his relationship with Malkin, does that change the Penguins' approach?
Number 3, I would say yes, it does. They have a relationship. I think it factors in. Number 1, I say if it's a
I wasn't expecting you to say that.
Well, I do. I think it's important. I think number 1, if he continues to have a good year, he clearly wants to be back. It's just going to be the price. What is the right price? I don't think he'll have any objection, Andrew, to a 1-year contract at this stage of his career. I think he's having fun. He wants it to continue.
Yeah, here's what I'll say back to that, though. If it was as simple as, yes, I'll do 1 year, and the money isn't the end-all, be-all, why isn't it done yet? Why wasn't that something? I know Kyle Dubas was over in Milan, but there had been reporting since October that they were going to have a conversation, the agent and Dubas, during the Olympic break. If it's as simple of, yeah, we love the way you're playing, we love the influence on a younger guy now who's part of our plans, you don't want to play anywhere else. You know, to me, that's an easy contract to get done. That should be a simple one. I mean, who's really trying to screw over the other guy? Who's trying to make the best deal?
It depends. Even if it's 1 year, he's going to want what he believes is fair for him, and it may not be fair for the Penguins. They may be looking at a much lower number than he is. And I don't think if you bring that up now and it's a problem, maybe it's something that gets into his head. I would leave it go to the end of the year. There's no rush on this. Nobody's going anywhere. Have a good finish.
I would just say, to me, I would just do this. I would say, whatever you're making right now, let's do that next year. And who says no in that situation?
Well, I think he would want that, but he's not going to want to. I don't think he'll look at a raise, but I think they may want to cut down some money off of that, and that may be.
I disagree with that. I think that would be a bad move by them. I totally disagree. If he looked like he was having a down year and it was just like a retirement, you know, thanks for the memories deal, that would be one thing. But he's been fantastic this year, Bob.
He has been, but he's going to be 40 years old also, and I think, you know, that's part of this whole conversation here.
Well, I'm 40 years old. Okay, what's that supposed to mean? I'm doing okay. I'm working out 3 times a week.
You got 26 years to catch me, and so, you know, money at this point doesn't become that big of an object, I think, and I don't think it will be for him. I think he'll take what he thinks is fair, but it's not going to be maybe at the same level that he was. I don't know. Maybe I'll be wrong. We'll see. But they got other things to worry about between now and then. Let's go out to Chuck in Uniontown joining us right now. Hey, Chuck.
Yeah. Good evening, fellows, and thanks. I was going to ask you, are the Pirates fixing to have a winning record, not only for this year but for several years to come? I know there seems to be a lot of players, a lot of young players in the organization. Of course, they're going to lose schemes in a year or two. But do you think that they intend to try to be good for several years?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, you got two potential stars, and that may not even include a third star, which would be Bubba Chandler potentially. And if O'Neal Cruz figures it out, they should have a pretty good 2-year run here. And I would be setting it up for that. They've taken some steps necessary. I expect them to be a playoff team this year, wild card team, but still get in. And if that happens, it generates a lot of juice around here. And I think they'll try to build on that next year, Andrew.
If there is a next year, right? I mean, that's the thing you got to put on it. We don't know what the state of baseball is beyond this year.
Does that affect your approach to Connor Griffin and whether or not you'd offer him a contract right now?
Yeah, of course. And I wonder how much that affects his. It probably affects both of their outlooks on how to do that deal. You know, there used to be a time, as in probably 2 years ago, before Skeens got to the Pirates, where you would say, yes, take a year off. Don't play baseball for a year. If that means a better economic situation for the Pirates, I'm all for it. But sacrificing a year right now when you have Skeens and you have Griffin coming on and you've built, I think, a pretty good team for this year, that's a tougher pill to swallow, Bob. I don't think I'd want no baseball in 2027 with the nucleus of players that they have right now, with the potential that they have to do damage with this roster.
Yeah, we got to go to break, but I agree that I'd rather have them play, and I don't understand to that end why they don't start negotiating. It always goes to the very end and then some. Just figure it out. It can't be, get them together in a room and let's do this. If they both want that to be done, start now. Why wait? I know how it goes, though, in these negotiations. We'll take a break, come back with more, including a conversation about the World Baseball Classic. What do we think of this coming up? Paul Skeens is going to have a prominent role. It's next right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. All right, welcome back. Bob Pompeani, Andrew Fillipponi with you at 412-575-2600. We'll talk about something that I put on Twitter today. I thought was an interesting question because Joe and I had talked about it, Andrew, and it's this. Cleveland is getting a dome stadium. Would you want one in Pittsburgh eventually? Yes or no? 4,100 votes, and no, overwhelmingly, was the answer. Nobody wants that here. They'd rather have outdoor football. And then KJ Genesis says on Twitter, the response to that, he says, a dome with a retractable roof. How about that? What's your take on that sort of stuff in the NFL?
Well, I just think that the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this might sound hokey, but I just feel like they're meant to play outdoors. Now, I prefer for them to have a field that functions properly,
right,
where the players aren't, in mass revolt complaining about it. But that, to me, is just the way that it's meant to be played here. I understand, Detroit's a similar market. They've played indoors forever. Minnesota's been a dome team really for the last 50 years between their two stadiums. But the Pittsburgh Steelers are, I can't fathom that the Rooney family would say the heck with the tradition of the elements being a factor in games for generations,
right?
And we're just going to become a dome team.
Well, I would have said the same about Buffalo and Cleveland too, but here they are. All right, let's go to the lines. We got Jimmy.
Buffalo's not going to be indoors, Bob, is it? That's not an indoor stadium in Buffalo. I think the fans.
It's outdoor, but doesn't have like.
I think the fans are under.
Yeah, okay.
No, the
Actually,
field
I like
of play
that
is going to
idea.
be outdoors.
So, in other words, the fans are covered for those who don't want to get hit with anything. That's fine. All right, Jimmy in Point Breeze is up. Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Mm-hmm. Hey, one of the guys I was super hoping we would draft was Makai Lemon. And then I heard some things that he bombed his interview. I haven't read anything further about that. But
didn't have a good showing. I don't know. I mean, there are a lot of wide receivers. I don't know if that impacts
bombed with
what
who?
they're doing.
Bombed with the Steelers or bombed with everybody? Tons of who did he bomb with, Bob?
I heard it was just generally did not come off looking the way they wanted him to look. I don't know if that's general or specifically with the Steelers, but I've seen that out there. I don't know. As far as the on-the-field stuff, I don't think that was a problem with some other stuff. So all of this factors in. Some of these questions they ask some of these guys, though, I think is a little bit crazy when you think about it. But
one of them is, would you rather be a dog or a cat? What would you pick?
A dog. How about you?
Yeah, I'm not a cat person whatsoever.
I've always said
especially the hairless ones gross me out.
I like cats. We used to have one. I just prefer dogs.
What was the name?
Sebastian of the cat. All right, on that note, we'll go. See you, Andrew. Appreciate your time.
See you, Bob.
As always, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you for joining us. We'll do it again tomorrow night right here at 10:35. Have a good evening.